Yo.
Welcome back. We're here at Whiskey Provisioner and we're visiting the Wizard Academy. This is a strange day. This has been happening 2 weeks in a row. Last week we had friends come in for Whiskey Somm Level 2. This week we have friends coming in for Whiskey Somm Level 3. I was at the graduation last Thursday. Our friend Peter Schumacher was there. Jose was there as well, Jose Martinez, and a whole bunch of other people. Jake Clements from the Texas Whiskey Festival was there, and honestly, we got to try a lot of really cool things. And Madison and I worked together for the longest time. We struggled through COVID together.
We sure did.
And so when you said that you were coming, I said, well, we're going to be taping with Jason Souter anyways. And can you come and let's share some memories, catch up, and have some Tennessee whiskey.
Yes.
This is something that I picked up. Jackie was working in a Johnson City area, and I had to go back and pick up the trailer. Luckily, it was just in time because a month or two later, and that entire area was flooded.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they're dealing with some stuff right now.
Yeah.
And you know,
So
every
sad.
one of us has gone through quite a bit in the past couple of years, and we don't see each other as much as we should. No.
Not at all. It's very sad.
You're doing some things on social media talking about this bar. What is this bar that you're working at?
So I'm working at the cutest little independently owned. It started out as a wine bar. It's called The Cottage in Nacogdoches, Texas. And they recently got new ownership about a year ago now. It's actually coming up on 1 year. It'll be 2 years for me there in January. But the new owners have really revamped everything. We do have an extensive wine list, but I was able to talk one of my bosses into getting some fun whiskey behind the bar.
Great.
Which to all the whiskey nerds will seem very basic, but to Nacogdoches, it's like, oh, you have something besides Jack Daniels and Jameson? And it's like, yeah, we actually do. We have some really good scotches if you want to, up your game a little bit and get a nicer bourbon than Old Granddad as the well.
Yeah.
And it's just really, really fun. They let us experiment.
I've been seeing that. You've got some cocktails that you've been doing. I know you love working with lavender.
Oh my God, I love lavender so much. Yeah, of course. I actually took the faulty basil that we made here and added it to our menu there.
Oh wow.
We changed the name, changed the proportions a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, it's only me and one other bartender, so they just let us play around,
Do what
come
you
up
do.
with the new seasonal menu and all that. So it's very fun. It's like the closest thing I could have gotten to the kind of environment we worked in, being somewhere else.
That's something that you really have to curate. You've got to create that environment. A lot of times people think that bars are just transactional. What do you want? Here you go. But bars and they can be a place where people connect. It can be a place where people meet other people. And the one thing that happened over here at the Crowded Barrel, it was a YouTube channel. A lot of places don't have that kind of social media as a draw. And being that local place, it depends a lot on the personality of the owners, the personality of the people in the bar to make it a welcoming space.
Absolutely. We definitely try to do that. It's a husband and wife owner, and the wife is kind of the front of the business and the husband is the back. He's the head chef. And because it's a small town, people want to know that they're recognized. It's like walking into Cheers and everybody says your name.
Yeah.
So she's learning everyone's name and hugs the regulars when they come in. And we have a very small bar. It only seats about 6 to 7 people on a good day.
Yeah.
So I have my bar regulars, and yeah, it's really like here it was kind of small town feel because we have so many people that know us and love us and want to hang out. And there it is small town feel. But they've done a really good job of kind of curating the community and making it feel welcoming.
Family owned, family run is a difficult thing to do. My very first job, I was a bar steward, bar steward at a place called the General Wolfe Hotel, which is on Wolfe Island, which is between Cape St. Vincent, upstate New York, and Kingston, Ontario. And there are ferries that go back and forth, and the dining times were dependent on the ferry. And what you said about the husband and wife, it was in reverse. She ran the kitchen. He ran the dining room.
Gotcha.
And back then, it was all handwritten receipts with an adding machine. He's greeting them as they're coming in off of the ferry and getting them seated. And then we're going through the different stages and the different courses. And then he's adding up all of the receipts himself by hand with an adding machine. Yeah, back then we had these receipts that were like done in triplicate. So you would have to tear off the first part and give that order to the bartender.
Yep.
And so it ends up that, you'd run out of those little tear sheets. If they ordered a second drink or a bottle of wine, you'd have to make sure you're writing it all down on that hard card so that when the time comes at the end, he's able to finally give you your tally. So
What a pain.
now we've got all these computers that send things to the kitchen. I don't know if it's any better.
Well, as long as the printers are working properly, it's usually fine.
This is called Davidson's Reserve. It's Tennessee straight bourbon whiskey. And it's interesting, they're actually putting bourbon on the front. I don't know a lot about these. I just went in to the liquor store looking for something local, something that I haven't seen on the liquor store shelves here, or I don't remember seeing it on the liquor store shelves here. So I guess we're going in blind, even though I don't like going in blind, but we're
fine by me. I'm open to it.
Now, Tennessee also has that some kind of charcoal filtering to become Tennessee, and they can do it at any stage of the process. Again, I don't know if this is going through that because they're calling it Tennessee straight bourbon whiskey.
Right.
As opposed to Tennessee whiskey, which can be confusing for some people.
Yeah. It's got kind of a ashy nose on it.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, and then on the palate as well, that ashiness comes through. The sweetness is a little bit delayed with sort of a maple note in the background.
Ooh. I think that's actually really tasty at first
Yeah.
sip.
Mm-hmm.
It's very full-bodied. Yeah, a little bit of sweetness right at the back. What's the proof on it? It's a little spicy.
That's a good question. We've gone into the dark now, so actually being able to read these things. How are your eyes?
Terrible. 50%.
50. Wow.
So.
Yeah, that actually
spice on
drinks a lot smoother for a 50% or 100 proof.
I'm pleasantly surprised by that. I was like, okay, Tennessee, not hating on Tennessee. It's not usually my go-to, but
Right.
this is a little different. And it said, what did this say?
I've been holding this in my cupboard for months now. This is probably 4 or 5 months that this has just been sitting. And I haven't pulled it out. I was looking for an excuse or an episode or a conceit on what to do with talking around this whiskey. And this is something that happens at Engelbrecht the day before. So if you're coming to the whiskey marketing school and you're doing a class, bring a bottle of whiskey to share with your other classmates. Right now in the room, there is a social gathering happening where it's the meet and greet as people slowly enter into the Engelbrecht, which is the dormitory, I guess, or it's almost a hotel.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful in here.
No TVs.
No TVs.
Yeah.
You want to watch something?
Sketchy Wi-Fi.
Bring your iPad. Honestly, wouldn't have it any other way though, because it kind of forces people to get out of their room and go say hi to each other, and it's crazy because this is now, whatever round you're on. Now I'm on the third, and there's still people I don't know.
Yeah.
So the groups continually get smaller and smaller, but then the people that are really serious about it stick around and keep moving forward, and it's nice to see the old faces back, and then see who shows up that you've never met before, and it's about half and half right now
Right.
for me.
Right.
So-
Yeah. Level one. There's going to be a lot more people who have taken level one, the introduction to tasting, nosing, history, spirits, and there's some writing and learning about the marketing side of the business. And so the people that loved it and that are hook, line, and sinker, and they want to go down deeper into the rabbit hole, level two takes them into the American whiskey experience. And then level three, you're going to learn about Scotch whiskey.
My
Yay.
favorite. I'm so excited.
And there's always at the end of 36 different samples over two
yeah.
days, the history and the writing exercises and the speaking exercises. You finally get to the graduation, and it's bittersweet.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I cried at both of my ceremonies.
Me too.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know how they make it feel so visceral and important. You're like, oh my God, I'm doing the most important thing in the world right now with all these cool people. And every time I'm
Yeah.
like brought to tears, and I'm like, oh my God, you look like such a baby, Madison. Get it together. But I can't help it.
Mine was, the first one was just before COVID. We were like the last class before COVID with all the precautions. And then we were one of the first classes coming after COVID. I ended up sharing the class with Eric Waite Whiskey Studies. The second class, our friends Emma Kahn was there, and Shannon Hood was there. I met Beau Bozard.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and just listening to his storytelling was impressive. This is a place where everybody knows your name, like you were saying, but it's like coming back. It's a family reunion.
It really is. It really is.
And they really do emphasize coming back for that graduation class and welcoming in the new people into our community. And the community's getting bigger.
It is.
It's going online.
Yeah.
So we've got different social media happening. Whiskey Vault Facebook group is happening. There's the Whiskey Marketing School has got its own Facebook group. So there's a lot of things happening, a lot of communication with a lot of like-minded people, really.
Yeah.
So.
And then you also get to come back and see people like Gordon. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see Gordon.
Yeah.
I actually just texted him and I was like, I'm here for level 3. I hope I get to see you. And he said he'll be there.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't here last week, obviously, but Peter came through NAC and we got to hang out.
Yeah.
You know? And
And that's another thing that happened. I ended up working for this rum company, and this guy says he's friends with you, and he's got a name almost the same as Corey. He says he's the
know.
wrong Corey.
I know their names are very similar.
Corey Crawford, and like his journey through the liquor stores, and it's sort of like we're brothers on a different direction, or
Yeah.
separated at birth, whatever.
Yeah, and small world that I just happened to know him from.
Yeah.
We went to college together, and then you end up working with him. It's like, what? Because he mentioned you, and I was like, wait, that's my friend.
Yeah. So there are people out in East Texas doing neat things with whiskey and spirits, and so it doesn't matter where you are. There are people in this world, and if you end up in this community, you end up having that resource. Like, I remember driving through Kentucky twice, trying to figure out a way to get to Connecticut on my way to New Hampshire to stop and see Irene Tan along the way.
Oh, yeah.
But, when you're doing all of these long journeys, like, how do we get to see other things along the way? So I've had people ask me, hey, have you done the Bourbon Trail? And it's like, not really the Bourbon Trail, but what I did was I set up a trip to stop at Kentucky Artisan to meet up with Benjamin Eves, where he has just started a new job at where they make Jeffersons. And so I got to
exciting.
do a tour through there, and there's somebody I know that's in our community that it's like, this is a more personal adventure. The
Yeah.
same thing heading up to go through. Irene said you need to stop by Connecticut, and it's like to get there. I was driving 12-hour days, so that the second or third day I could do a 10-hour day, and then of course I get in trouble on the I-95.
Richard, what did you do?
It was just traffic. There was
Oh, okay.
construction that was rerouting me, and so that was an adventure. But when I got there, there's 3 Somms waiting for me. There's Irene Tan, there's Cliff Smith, and there's Brian Kalavy, and they're all at Irene's store. And so again, a beautiful memory, a bottle that was picked up, a bottle that was shared along the way, and then on the way back, I ended up meeting Morgan and what's his name? Oh goodness, Mitch Weddle.
Oh, yeah.
And the funny thing is I remember when I was visiting Benjamin Eves in Kentucky at the Spirit of Kentucky. Mitch Weddle said, "I wish I knew you were coming into town because I live just a little ways away from there."
Oh, man.
On the way back, I said, I'm traveling back through there, and I've got myself a place to put the RV. It's called a Harvest Host. You stop overnight at a farm or a distillery, and it was just this farm north of Louisville. And we stopped there, and Morgan and Mitch brought a big basket of whiskey.
Oh, heck yeah.
And
they
we
did.
sat outside the trailer near a sunflower field and feeding
my
the
God.
cows and eating ice cream. Yeah, it was a pretty cool thing.
That sounds amazing.
This one is S.E. Callahan's Bourbon. This is Johnson City. Apparently, they went and moved recently to Johnson City from where the trailer was actually parked. Which is Jonesboro. Jonesboro. Yeah, Jonesboro. That's what I'm going with. I'm sticking with it. Jonesboro, Tennessee. And yeah, that's the area one of the areas that was devastated through Dollywood, all the way up through that area with all of the floods from that hurricane. And
Oh, that's terrible.
so
But I'm glad you got to pick up some whiskey.
So this one's probably a little younger and sweeter, but just a tiny liquor store.
Yeah, you can always tell by the
little
almost
sticker.
garage sale stickers. That's when you know it's like a independently owned liquor store.
The OG legit hometown small vibe
Yep.
liquor store. And I said, I want something local. I want something that's from here. And they said they started there in Jonesboro and they moved to Johnson City. And it says straight bourbon, aged over 3 years.
Yeah, that one was 3 years as well.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's a designation on Tennessee. I know it is in Kentucky to get to 3 years to be considered a Kentucky bourbon. But again, I have no idea whether they're using that Lincoln County process. They are calling it straight bourbon whiskey. Mm-hmm. So this one is a lot sweeter on the nose.
A lot sweeter. It kind of took it a minute to open up. My first scent, I was like, oh, that one's kind of ashy too, but now it's opening up a little bit.
There is a little bit of bitterness on the end. I don't know what these mash bills are, and at this point, I don't care. It is a little herbal rye spice. Mm-hmm. There's a candy note in there as well.
There's some twang I'm getting right at the back end. I can't place it.
Mm-hmm. Is it country twang?
Country twang.
Country twang. Yeah. Sometimes I tell people, this has happened a lot at the tasting room, where people were coming in and they were, it's like, I don't perceive these tasting notes, I don't perceive these, and giving people permission to describe them in different ways is always fun. Even people who have no sense of smell, I've talked to them and what's the color? What's it look like? Is it thick or is it thin? Does it bite you at all, or is it smooth? Is it slick? There's a number of different ways. And then I had one girl walk in, and I said, "Describe it to me as if it's somebody you want me to meet." And she says, "I can do that." And she took about 5 minutes, and she comes back. She says, "Do you know that girl at the festival?" And she's off, and she's like a big floppy hat. She's dancing by herself on the side, on the outskirts of the festival. She seems a little bit unapproachable at first. But when you get to know her, she's a real sweet girl.
I love that.
I think she was describing you, but
Well, I mean, that sounds accurate. Maybe minus the big floppy hat, but you know. Yeah.
floppy hats have their uses. Yeah, this one reminds me of that tasting note. It's a little bit like there's something there that I'm trying to crack.
Yeah, same. I can't figure out what it is.
Can't figure out what it is.
But I'm continuing to go back very happily.
Right.
I think I prefer this one over the two, even though they're both really yummy.
It has a sweetness to it that makes it seem a little bit more approachable, whereas this one has more of that ashiness to it. That it's fun, but it's a little bit not off-putting, but a little bit abrasive.
It is. It kind of hits you all at once until you get that like fruity sweet note at the end.
Ooh, I'm getting a lot of corn mulch now. We're getting to the end of
All right.
the glass.
Oh yeah, that just smells like hay.
Mmm.
Now.
Yeah.
And corn.
Yeah. Wow. Whew. This is always great. Coming back here and seeing the people and meeting up. It's it's been too long.
It has.
Yeah.
This is truly an experience.
Yeah.
Like unlike any other. Like you will not find this anywhere else. And I love it here.
So what would you tell people that is your best memory of this place?
Oh my goodness. Hit me with the tough questions, why don't you? Oh my goodness, there's so many. I can't even think of one particular one.
I think it is an overall mural because as a small business, there are so many different hands and different hats that we were doing. We were in so many different places, but I think it's the people most of all. The people that come here and their eyes are wide open, their hearts are wide open, and they're looking for a place to find like-minded people. The Academy is so overwhelming. Coming at the very first to go to a different building on this property and finding the curation and the artwork and the love that people put into this, and then to find out that it's all donated.
I know.
It's a nonprofit. Like I remember struggling finding people to come and work on this property because they walk in thinking we're millionaires.
Right. Which especially at our time and still definitely are not.
But it is still the people who have stayed and the people who have found this place and keep coming back to it and keep supporting it. I think is incredible testament to what's been built here. And honestly, guys, this is one of those places that's like a rabbit hole. When you're getting into whiskey and you get started, you have no idea how much more complex this is. And we appreciate every single one of you, and we want to see you on this journey as well. So if you'd like to, check out the Wizard Academy and the Whiskey Marketing School. Check out Whiskey Provisioner. Check out West China Tea and support our friend Sohan as he transitions from one location to another location so that we can continue doing these awesome pairings with whiskey and tea. And cheers to Madison.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining me for a sip.
Thank you for having me.